Holding the tag as the #1 poverty capital in the world with about 40% of the population living in poverty, it doesn't seem as if the giant of Africa is a giant anymore. More like saying, the mighty one has fallen. But isn't this surprising? With a land flowing with milk and honey, how is it that Nigeria has refused to flourish? Stay with me on this one as I reveal why almost half of Nigerians live below the poverty line. If you're Nigerian, you've probably heard the slang sapa or even used it more than once in a conversation. This word, which translates to hunger or no money, is the perfect description of the reality of many Nigerians. From the market woman struggling to sell her last basket to the civil servant whose salaries has refused to come, and the entrepreneur who is frustrated because of the alarming hike in market prices. These scenarios all point to one thing: hunger and poverty in the land. But the real question is, why does this roller coaster never seem to come to an end? No easy access to capital. The major issue affecting the means of Nigerians to rise above poverty is the lack of capital to invest in their ideas. The mind of an average Nigerian is like fertile soil filled with many great ideas and potentials. But without funds, those ideas are as good as dead. It's like expecting a tree to grow when no seed was planted. This is why millions of Nigerians have given up on their dreams and resort to the street in search of anything that could pass as a meal. Poor saving culture. For a typical Nigerian, weekends or special holidays are for jollification, as they call it, and often lots of unwise spending goes down the drain. After all, man must chop, and the next pay will come. This is why many Nigerians lack the discipline to put aside a percentage of their earnings. Instead, they spend more than they earn and run into debts just as fast as the money comes. But I get it. Unwinding is a vital part of life. However, these habits can easily cause more harm than good when it's not controlled. Unemployment. Just like the previous point, unemployment plays an even greater role in causing poverty. The United Nations estimated the unemployment rate in Nigeria at 22.6%. However, that number has increased to 38% in the last 2 years and is predicted to reach a staggering 40% next year. With that being said, what chances does the common Nigerian have to afford his basic needs? In fact, not being able to access good jobs is just as bad as being stuck with an underpaying job that almost does nothing to cater to one's basic need. Talk more about luxuries like education or emergencies such as ill health. Therefore, continuing in this circle will leave one in a constant state of poverty. Corruption. When the leaders of a country have no mercy for the masses, but instead take all for themselves alone, there is just very little that the common man can do to survive. A common saying goes with this: the rich are getting richer while the poor are getting poorer. Indeed, corruption is an integral cause of poverty in Nigeria because the monies meant to circulate into different sectors of the country to promote economic growth find themselves in the purses and bellies of the commanders-in-chief. Unwillingness to work. Yes, you heard that right. In fact, not to sugarcoat anything, the right word is laziness. Because whether the government is to be blamed or not, many Nigerians are unwilling to put in the hard work required for success. They carry around the mentality of being too blessed to be stressed and depend on their parents or guardians for almost everything, which blinds them from seeing opportunities where they are. Lack of proper education. Have you heard the slang "school na scam"? Yes, Nigerians invented it. But what this really means is that the educational system in Nigeria has fallen so badly that attaining degrees is now seen as a waste of time and resources. In a schooling system where students are majorly taught theories and with tons of information shoved down their throats, it becomes very easy to have half-baked graduates who do not have what it takes to function or excel in their different careers. This means that if the youths called the leaders of tomorrow are not instilled with the mindset of wealth creation but are constrained to the ideology of la crème de la peur, then Nigeria will continue to see many years, if not decades, still on the poverty line. Brain drain. With a high percentage of the population migrating overseas yearly, it is needful to say that Nigeria is facing a severe brain drain which can crumple its economy if the necessary measures are not taken. In the UK, it is estimated that over 200,000 Nigerians permanently reside there. Even more interestingly, Nigeria is ranked the second African country with the highest population in the UK. In the US alone, about 400,000 Nigerians live there, and according to the US Bureau of Statistics and Census, Nigerian immigrants are the most educated in the United States, with the highest education attainment rate of about 64%. Now you tell me, if all this brain power is poured into the sinkholes of Nigeria, won't it be much more achievable to remold the country into a better place to live? No basic infrastructures. Many factors contribute to the rise of poverty in Nigeria. Still, with no proper structures in place to promote wealth and productivity, the people will continue to suffer. Let's take, for instance, the poor situation of electricity in the country. Almost every service to be rendered depends on electricity to operate efficiently, from the frozen food seller to the office worker preparing his slides for his next presentation and the laundryman at the side of the road. But when this basic infrastructure is not provided, they are forced to spend out of their own pockets, thereby eating into savings or investment funds. Crime and violence. Despite being a very religious country, Nigeria still suffers very high crime rates. From riots and states of emergency to insurgencies, wars, and embargoes, these factors destroy social structures and limit trade flow, consequently resulting in low finance in the country. A typical example can be seen with the population of internally displaced persons, which has increased the already poverty-stricken populace. How we progress from here is now the underlying question that lies heavily in the hearts of Nigerians. On the other hand, the youths are frustrated by the lack of jobs and resorted to crime as a means of survival. Cyber fraud, or Yahoo as commonly called, has become the order of the day among male folks. Even now, they have taken it a step further by indulging in spiritual sacrifices and rituals just to secure wealth and escape the grips of poverty. Aside from this, kidnapping, armed robbery, and theft are only a few of the criminal activities becoming a norm in Nigeria. Diseases and sicknesses. When people are plagued with illnesses and diseases with no access to necessary healthcare services, the nation suffers greatly. Currently, Nigeria has close to 3 million people living with HIV and AIDS and a record of 200,000 HIV and AIDS infections every year, the second highest rate in the world. Malaria is another disease that constantly threatens the lives of 97% of the population. Every year in Nigeria, there are an estimated 100 million malaria cases, with over 300,000 dying from the disease yearly. Now, if you think of it, while poor health is a common result of poverty, it can also cause poverty. Don't agree with me? Let's look at it from this perspective. If all parts of the body have no fault, the body will operate properly. But when the body is sick, the mind can't even function. This is the case in Nigeria, and with all the different body parts failing at once, it is only a matter of time before it crumbles. However, one thing to never lose sight of is hope. As the popular saying goes, when there is life, there is hope. Therefore, it is still achievable to rebuild Nigeria, and one very pivot solution to the menace eating the country is proper education and enlightenment, not just for the children and youth, but also for the leaders at the top of the ladder. If there is a reorientation and the rule of no one is above the law is implemented, it will be possible to broaden the mentality of the people and open their minds to different views that can bring about financial freedom and economic growth. So, Do you think enlightenment and education are possible solutions to poverty in Nigeria? Or do you choose to disagree? Share your thoughts in the comment section, as we would love to hear your views. Thank you for staying with us till the end, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it.